Okay, so yeah, in the interest of time, we'll kind of get going here, and when people are, we got 20 people or so, 20 plus register, but we'll see who jumps on here. We had such a great response to our first Q&A webinar with Katie with San Joaquin County Worknet here that we decided to do another one because some people missed it or had more questions as they started going through the application. So we want to open this up again for our small businesses in our community to make sure that they're able to fill out the application correctly for the San Joaquin County Small Business Assistance Grant Round 4. Because we want to make sure they don't get rejected just because they didn't include something or not fill out the form right. We want to make sure if they're eligible that they get the money that they need to help keep them in business and keep their business afloat here. So with that, I will turn it over to Katie Poole. She is an analyst with San Joaquin County Worknet, and they're the ones that are administering the grant on this round. So I will turn it over to Katie.
Good morning. Thanks, Tim. Tim will be posting in a little bit as well a link to the YouTube video where I did a detailed walkthrough of submitting an application as though you're applying for the first time. And I take a step-by-step look at that and show you like what to click on, some problem areas that you might be encountering. For instance, if you don't fill out a field entirely, then it may not let you go to the next section. Or if you put down a certain number of months in the monthly breakdown when you're putting in your expenses that you want reimbursement for or past due expenses paid, then and you don't put in the same corresponding amount of months in that breakdown, then things can get a little dicey within the application. So I was thinking today I would start with, I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Tim, could you make it so I can share my screen?
Oh, sorry about that.
One of the things we get some of the most questions about is, is our COVID-19 harm worksheet, which is how we determine your eligibility. So I wanted to give you guys a look at some of this. Okay. So we'll be looking for two documents from you. One is going to be your Schedule C. The other is going to be your profit and loss statement. And you're going to use that to fill out your COVID-19 harm worksheet. This is what that COVID-19 harm worksheet looks like. I've put in some examples in here already. And you might have multiple COVID-19 harm worksheets for multiple different periods. And this should be March. So let's say, for instance, March, April, and May, when the first shutdown happened, is when you were most largely impacted and you've not received a previous grant before through San Joaquin County. So you'll put March, April, May of 2020 in your post-pandemic section.
Okay, we're still seeing you're just your small business.
You're not seeing me.
Not seeing the actual Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, how about now?
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. So you have at the top here, you have your pre-pandemic revenue and you have your post-pandemic revenue. Pre-pandemic revenue is going to be the period before March of 2020. Post-pandemic is where you're going to put the period of harm that you encountered starting March of 2020 through August of 2021. So you'll have multiple COVID-19 harm worksheets if you qualify for that whole period. How you know if you qualify is if your gross revenue was less than your gross revenue in the same period for the pre-pandemic amount. So for instance, if you suffered because of the first shutdown from March to about May of 2020, you'd put that here, and then you'd put March through May of 2019, and then you'd give us your profit and loss statements for those specific months. Or you would give us your Schedule C for the entire year for 2019 and 2020, and we would divide it by the number of months you were asking for, and we can compare those two amounts. We have to have what we call an apples to apples, so a matching comparison period between these two post and pre-pandemic areas. And then I just threw in a fake number amount of revenue. This, of course, for you will be a real number. And where we get this number from, and hopefully these screens pop up, this is a blank Schedule C. So number one right here under Part 1 income, number one gross receipts or sales, this is the number we're using for that revenue. And then on your profit and loss, it will be your gross sales here at the top. So for instance, you see this one has a current year profit and loss and a prior year profit and loss. We would actually need to see the months, not just current year and prior year for 2021. And if you've received a grant with us before, if you received round 3, you'd only be eligible from February through August of this year. So remember, the application period is September 1st through September 30th. So that means since September has not really completed, that the most current completed month would be August. So February through August would be the profit and loss months that you'd want to look at, and you'd want to compare it to 2019. So that's the pre-pandemic period. So let me open that up again. So for instance, this was 2020, right? So if you received February through August, 2019 would be your pre-pandemic if you'd received round 3. February through August here of 2021 would be your post-pandemic. That's only if you're eligible for this entire period of February through August of 2021 if you received round 3. Now, that doesn't mean you received harm in all of those months. So let's say you had the most harm February to April. Then you would just put that, and you'd put the corresponding profit and loss months, and then also February through April of 2019. So you want to match your actual months of harm up to your post-pandemic and pre-pandemic revenue for those months specifically. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about that.
Yeah, if you have a question, you can type it in the Q&A or in the chat below.
And then also, if you're watching this later, feel free to send us an email to smallbusinessgrantquestions@sjgov.org. And we're answering those typically within 24 hours or less. If we take a little bit longer than 24 hours, that means that we're just trying to research the information for your question that you have to make sure we're giving you the most accurate response. And we are going to be having a direct phone number. We're getting it set up today. You can call 468-3500 and use extension 5 to be transferred to one of our live auditors. It's not up yet, so that will go live probably by tomorrow morning. So that's our main Worknet number. And then when you call it, you'll press option 5 for any grant questions, and you'll be transferred to a live auditor that is responsible for actively reviewing some of the cases. We have 5 auditors currently, and they are responsible for doing all of the cases. And then they speak, we have a Punjabi speaker, an Urdu speaker, and a Spanish speaker. And then for the other languages, we have been using Google Translate pretty successfully. So just bear with us on that. We are really trying to be inclusive of all the different languages that we have out there. So, and that's one of the things you can also indicate. Maybe I can share that as well. So when you're doing a new application, let me make sure this screen is being shared. So when you're doing a new application, one of the first things it asks you after the pre-eligibility screening. So do you have to say yes, you do rent, or if you're doing the mortgage, you do own. If you select your preferred language here, this helps us realize how many different languages we have in our community and what other languages it would be good to have translators for. So please answer that. It helps us out a lot. And then we can also actually communicate through this portal in the various different languages that we have listed here. When we send you an email, it'll automatically translate our email into your language. And then as you're going through filling it out, you can, at the very top right hand next to your initials, you can drop this down and choose the language you want for most of the page to be translated into. I believe certain areas it does not translate, but most of it does. And you do have to operate within San Joaquin County. And the only option here is San Joaquin County for the geographical area. You have to have an active business license or equivalent to do business in San Joaquin County. And if you're not sure what that equivalent is, send it in and attach it to the business license section of the documents, and then we will review it and let you know if it is appropriate or not. Your number of full-time employees, and this would be your total number of employees. You can't have more than 100 full-time employees. So let's say you have 100 part-time employees and 50 full-time employees, then you would want to put all of those employees. But if you had 100, 200 part-time, then that would be the equivalent of 100 full-time if they were working 20 hours a week. This one you don't have to answer unless it is applicable to you. So if you are an independent healthcare provider or healthcare clinician whose primary residence is San Joaquin County, you'd want to answer yes here. Otherwise, leave it no. Can you provide sufficient documentation of unfunded expenditures due directly or indirectly related to COVID-19? This has been one question people are forgetting to mark yes to. If you don't have sufficient documentation, you will not be eligible to this grant. Is the business or the applicant delinquent on any federal taxes? This question, that won't stop you from continuing with the application. Just answer yes or no there as applicable. Have you received a business grant from any of the previous San Joaquin County Small Business Grant rounds? This is rounds 1, rounds 2, our micro round, and then round 3. So you'd want to answer yes if you had. Did your business have less gross revenue in 2020 than in 2019 and can demonstrate this with tax documents or profit and loss statements? And this wording is going to be updated to also say in 2020 or 2021. So we are working with a brand new system that we've never gone through before. So as you guys have noticed, there's been a few things we've updated along the ways. So I wanted to take time to acknowledge that and let you know we're working on it daily. And we've had a few of you let us know, oh, hey, I clicked on this and it's not working. And then I can automatically reach out to our third party who's handling the site for us and let them know. And they're pretty quick with fixing it. So another area where people are getting held up is this physical address area. So this physical address is matched to the USPS zip code lookup. So you want to make sure that you're inputting stuff exactly as the USPS would have it. There have been still a few outliers. So other business addresses that do look right in USPS when you put your address in there, but for some reason they don't come up in here. Just send us an email and let us know and we can get that address added. So right now I'm putting in our new Worknet location. And just like I did in the walkthrough tutorial of the application, I'm kind of just entering it incorrectly. You can see this was the original address up here that I entered. I can keep that if I'd like to, or I can change it to the suggested address that is from the USPS mailing. I would suggest using the suggested address unless it's completely different. And then in that case, if it is completely different, you will want to send us an email letting us know that. So this should be your business address where you physically operate your business out of. If you have a different mailing address or another address you want to include, put that over here to the side and then click next. I'm not going to go through the whole entire thing because I have the walkthrough on that site, but I'm going through a few areas where I've really noticed people getting hung up at. So this is a business owner's page. This can be for a business owner or the CEO if it's a corporation that does not have one specific owner. And you want to put the first name and last name and then select the phone type. These are all required. So the phone number is required. And the address is the one you cannot edit at all. And then if there is a social security number that the business operates it under, you'll want to put it here. If not, make sure you're clicking I'm not providing, otherwise it will hold up the application. For the employer, tax identification number, you'll want to enter it here. And then the date of birth, you want to make sure you're filling it out completely, or else you'll have an invalid date range error show up. And then these other questions are actually really important. I know some people are like, oh, let me just put other, but this helps us identify different demographics, different groups within our community, and lets us know what kind of programs we should have available or should be looking into. And obviously I'm not Hispanic or Latino, but I'm just giving that as an example. Are you disabled? Yes. Have you served the military? Yes. So answering these few questions here helps us create more programs or also get access to more programs for our community. And then you'll want to hit save. If you are filling this out on behalf of somebody, you'll want to put their information under the business owner details and put your information under alternate contact. And you can see along the lines here, there's all these little check marks that pop up as I finish. This is for your business name. So we can put, and we have 5 different Worknet locations throughout San Joaquin County. So even if you can't make it into our main one, you can go to our website at sjcworknet.com. And you can see an area that is near you that you could go in and get help at as well. So you're going to enter if you're for-profit or nonprofit. Nonprofits can apply. Then we have these different business classifications. These are recently added. This is so we can see what type of restaurants. We know restaurants were affected. What type of business classifications were most greatly affected in our community by the pandemic? So yes, a lot of restaurants, a lot of personal services. Personal services lumps in nail salons, hair salons, massage, and tattoo parlors and stuff like that. Okay. So enter the one that's most closely related to you. Try not to use other because that just is a very general, obviously. And then we just have one for nonprofit agencies. And then your business description, this is kind of where you run your business out of. Are you a mobile business? Are you commercial? Do you run it from your home? Are you agricultural? And again, the catch-all of other. And if it doesn't have a red asterisk next to it, it's not required, but that doesn't mean it's not beneficial. The more information you can give us here, the quicker your auditors, our auditors can go through and approve applications, or at least let you know, hey, I didn't have enough information here. I need you to get me this document or this document, and they can work with you. So another one I wanted to go over more in detail was the payment screens. So the payment requested is for your either mortgage or rent, past due, or reimbursement. Security deposit is not covered under this grant, and our third party who's doing the system will be removing this eventually. If you've already put your application through and you've put something here, it will be marked down to 0 because security deposits are not covered by this grant. So let's say you had $1,000, 10 months due. We're going to save that real quick. And then this red thing over here will pop up saying, click here to add the breakdown. You do need to do this, and you do need to select all the months that the years and the months that you are requesting either past due or reimbursement for. This one is past due rent. And you can do a combination. And you should be able to select multiple months here. So just for the sake of showing you guys, let's just say March 2020 is when we're starting. I feel like I should have background music to help with the silence. So, and I can't, Tim, I can't see the screen for chats while I'm doing this. So if anyone is asking questions, just let me know and I'll hop over to the questions.
Nothing as of yet. Okay.
Probably a lot of people will be tuning in later to see what we discussed. So you can see at the top, I put $1,000 here and I put the number of months due as 10. So remember that was in the previous screen that I did. So I can put different amounts here. So I can do, say, $50 of past due rent was due in, and obviously these are made up numbers, was due in March of 2020, and then 100. So I'm showing you that it doesn't have to be the same amount in each month. You can put any amounts here that correspond correctly to what you actually owe for those months, right? And you can keep doing this all the way down. You can also, if it has been the same, you can do Control C and do Control V to make it go a little quicker. And you can see as I entered different totals here, this total kept changing and the pending amount kept changing. So the pending amount shows what I have left to spend or what I've gone over. So if I tried to put 200 here, it would say, oh, that's $100 more than what you entered for your total amount up here. And you can change that. Let's say you made a mistake. You're like, oh, actually it was 200 that month. So you can save it and then you can close it and you can go here and you can put 1,100 and you can save it again and it will say, oh, that doesn't match what you have. And now we have 1,100 up here for 10 months. And I can go back to this month and I can put 200 and my pending amount will go down to 0 and I'll have that updated figure. Now let's say, oh geez, pop-ups. Okay, now let's say I was wrong about the amount of months. It was actually only 5 months and it was $500. Well, now I can resave that. So you have to click save after each change that you do. And I can click back here and then I can take off, see the little delete? I can just start deleting those. And even if it was like skipped months, you can go through. So you'll want to keep doing that until everything matches 5 months and $500. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $500. We can save that. And now everything is updated. And then you can choose your corresponding files that go with that, such as your cash checks and your bank statements. So this is just a fake bank statement that I had. So you can see they paid $750 a month. And at the top, it clearly said their account number, and the account number matched their business account name. So everything matched up. Now, if I had rent reimbursement for stuff I paid, I could go in and add this. And then go next, right? And then the same thing for water, sewer, garbage, all of these, and Ppe reimbursement. So payment requested is for past due rent or rent reimbursement, or if you're on the mortgage side, it's for past due mortgage or mortgage reimbursement. Then you'll have your utility payment requested, and this will also include Ppe reimbursement, and this can be past due or reimbursement for utilities. And you can put them all in the same one. So when you go in, it's the same thing. You want to hit save and go back up to the one you're doing. So it let me know that I didn't put any months, so I can put 1 and save. And then it'll pop up with that breakdown requirement again. Right? And then you can upload your PG&E or water or City of Lodi, whatever you may have it for your statements or your bills.
For the utilities, is it only past due, or can you do reimbursement on that too?
Reimbursement as well. And you
Okay.
can enter them all in the same section. So let's say this was 2 months. And I'd want to hit save because I changed it. And I'd go back up here. Let's say in March, I had a past due amount of 100. And in 2021 of April, I had, or let's say this is 50 because I only put 100 in there. I paid 50. What we're doing is updating. We're going to be adding another column right here that says past due or reimbursement. So it'll be another drop down and you'll just select past due or reimbursement for whichever it is for that month. That's an update coming later this week, hopefully. So it'll be a little bit more easy for people to understand, but otherwise it's still the same. You'll still do it. You just won't have the past due or reimbursement option here. But when we look at your bills that you submit, your files, you're either going to be submitting files for each month of bills due, or you're going to be submitting files for your statement due. So all of them will go into this choose file location. And then same for PPE reimbursement. So that's only reimbursement for PPE, and that does have to be itemized receipts. You can't just send us a credit card statement saying you spent $500 somewhere and tell us that it's for PPE. We have to actually see the items that you bought with that $500. And that I hit save, but I didn't actually make any changes. So it's just letting me know there's no record change to be saved. And it will not complete it until you upload some sort of file. So you won't get that check mark. See over here on the left-hand side, that check mark appeared after I uploaded the utility bill. And then here you're going to see that you have, this is the link for downloading the COVID-19 harm document that you have to fill out. And then this is for the landlord participation form. We have been told that this link, and as I'm clicking it, it's not working. So we will be making available, I believe Tim has these documents and he'll be putting them up so that you can access those. And then we will also, if you email us small business grant questions at sjgov.org, we will also individually email the landlord participation form out to you. And this should be working within the next hour. So it shouldn't be that much of a effect. And then you will have to add all of these that have the red asterisks are required documents. So you do have to have a current W-9. That W-9 does have to have your name. Has to be the October revised 2018 version of the W-9 form, and it has to be signed and dated within the last year. So nothing before October 2020 will be accepted. And when I say it has your name, your signature name at the bottom. And you do need to fill that out exactly as it is filled out for your tax ID number from the IRS. Your identification, this can be a driver's license, this can be an ID card, and this can be from another state. We do have some people who go between states, so they may not be necessarily have a California ID. So we will, like if they run a business here, but they live elsewhere, their business for San Joaquin County is eligible for the grant. So they can upload IDs that are not California IDs. Your lease document or mortgage document, lease document should be the actual rental agreement you have with the landlord or property manager. It should have their name, it should have your name, it should have signatures, it should tell us a monthly amount of what you're expected to pay, and it should have the address matching your business address. Profit and loss statement or Schedule C. We kind of went over those already. You'll want to upload multiple of these for every period of harm that you're referencing in your COVID-19 harm worksheet. Your current business license. So this is an active one that's for the current period that we're in that has not expired yet. And then another thing we will ask for is proof of your business start date. So this, you have to be proof of that you were in existence prior to January 1st, 2020. This can be an expired business license. This can be your seller's permit. This can be your business bank statement or a lease agreement or mortgage agreement for your actual business property dated before January 1st, 2020. Full-time employee count. This one right here can be your employee roster if you have that. If not, you can make one in Excel. This is your statement and you are signing everything at the end of this under penalty of perjury that everything within it is true and correct. So the full-time employee account can be your employee roster. It can be a payroll sheet. It can be a schedule with all your employees on it. It can be a statement that you write out and sign and date and upload, stating that you're the sole proprietor and you have no employees working for you. And while the COVID-19 worksheet does not have a red asterisk, it is required in order to complete your application. So if for some reason you forget to upload it, your auditor will be reaching back out to you and letting you know, hey, we still need this to complete your application. So if you don't upload any of these things or any of these things are not the correct items, it will slow down the auditing process. And the landlord participation form is only required if you're requesting unpaid rent to be paid to your landlord. So any unpaid rent will go directly to your landlord, and we do have to have the landlord participation form in order to complete that request. And then I'll go next. And then this is going to be the signature screen. It's not super pretty. It's like you're drawing. You can save your signature. You can redo this if you need to before. And then before you can click this button, you see how it's grayed out. You have to have your pop-ups on. So if this doesn't pop up and it's not letting you click that gray button, that means you have a pop-up block on and you'll need to deactivate that before you can continue. And then it'll give you a little statement of what you're acknowledging, and you'll click here to sign after reading it, click here to add the date, and it has another page of doing the same. And then you can see that this little check mark becomes able to be checked, and you will hit submit. So I think that goes over the most frequently asked questions that we've been seeing come into our small business grant questions email box. If you have any other questions, like I said, feel free to send us an email. After today, you'll be able to call us at that 468-3500 number. And then we also, as your case is assigned, you can see, on your case, I think I stopped sharing my screen, so hold on. Once you've submitted your case, it'll say if your case has been assigned or not. It won't be assigned right away, obviously. Those cases come to us, and then it will show who it's been assigned to directly on your screen. So you can keep logging in and checking the status of your application. So I'm just going back to my screen, hold on. Okay, so right here, you can see now you have a case number, case 384. It says I applied. It tells me the applicant's name and the caseworker is currently unassigned. It was submitted on the 15th. If I go and update anything in it, or your auditor's update, it'll show it right here. Or if you update, it'll show here. And it'll let us know that you updated something. And then this download is what you signed. So your digital signature of what you signed. And then if you go home, you'll be able to see any other applications. These are other mock applications I've created. And this is one of our caseworkers. So once you get assigned a caseworker, it'll say that caseworker's name right there. And that's who you'll be communicating with. And they'll be sending you direct emails. What's nice about this application is it emails whatever email you put in here directly to your email account, not through the app. And it lets you know that you need to log in and update those things through the application. So the communication is to your direct email. So make sure you're checking that often. Make sure that you're checking your junk mail if you're not getting anything in your regular mail. And then some people have uncompleted applications. So they'll look like this right here. This might be because you accidentally opened up add new application, or you're trying to get something to work and you opened up an add new application to see if that would help it out better. What we'll be doing is going through and cleaning up all these duplicate ones eventually. And then you should only see the ones that have actually been applied for. And the only time you should have multiple applications is if you have mortgage and rent for your property. So for instance, if you're in a strip mall and you happen to own one suite and then you rent the suite next to you, or you're in a building and you own part of the building and then you rent an office next to you, that's when you'd have two applications. Between the two applications, you're still only eligible up to $100,000. And unless they're two separate businesses with two separate tax ID numbers. So that's the other reason you'd have multiple applications, is if you have multiple businesses, or if you're helping out another business and applying for them, or a few other businesses, then you'd have that here. What I would suggest doing, though, if you are applying on behalf of somebody else, is setting up a login under their email and their name, their business name. That's for them only, instead of you having multiple applications under your email. Okay. That is all I have for today. I don't see any questions.
All right. So yeah, we got a couple people on. Does anybody have any specific questions here for Katie? But make sure if you're asking something specifically about your business, not to, you know, divulge any personal or anything crazy, but if it's any you know, general questions about the grant and stuff, while you got Katie on the line here, you can type them in the chat or the Q&A box, and we can answer those for you, hopefully. If not, we can get this wrapped up here shortly. So yeah, we'll give you a minute here. Someone might be typing. So we'll, oh yeah, we got a question pop up in the Q&A.
Okay, Adil, we have two partners in the business. However, the application does not let us add the other one. So just go with one for now. We are trying to make it so that there's multiple partners that can be added. For now, just put one, and your business license and your other documents can show, because we have that other document section that you can upload into, can show that there's multiple partners. It's not the applicant who is getting the money, it's the business. So you're applying on behalf of the business. So even though there's two business owners, it's not one of the owners that's getting the money, it is the business itself. Good question.
All right. Any other questions for Katie while we got her here?
And we are accepting people at our Worknet location at 6221 West Lane, Suite 105. It has the big Worknet sign up now. It's across from King's Card Room and Holiday 8 Cinemas across the street. So I think it's West Lane and Swain that are across streets. And we are open to the public now. So if you do need help, you can come on in, and we will have our auditor of the day who will work with you on answering your questions. You can also send us an email, or after tomorrow, call us at 468-3500, extension 5, and we can schedule an appointment so that you're not just coming blindly for your sake. That way we can actually go with you through your application maybe ahead of time and see what things you might need to bring in. So it might be a more productive appointment-based meeting that way.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Katie, again for taking the time today. This has been very helpful. I know for me, I'm getting a lot of questions as well. So this is definitely helpful for that. And hopefully it was helpful for the people that joined and the people that'll be able to watch this recording to be able to fill that application out correctly and get some money to help. Because I know
Yes.
times have been challenging, and we want to make sure that, you know, like I said, everybody that is eligible receives that money to make sure our economy is still moving in the right direction here in San Joaquin County.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Tim.
All right,
Thank
thanks
you,
everybody.
everybody.
Well, have a great day, everybody. And hopefully, and best of luck and continued success with your businesses. And hopefully, we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.